Hey, Hail Stalkers, here we are. We're live from the Hail Palace today, and man, what a busy stretch of weather we have right now. And it coincides perfectly with the hail forecast this year. So started things off pretty wild and crazy, right? So we had our first 5-star event yesterday, so we're going to talk about that. That's how we're going to start the forecast. Doesn't get any better than that. I've got the green suit on for the 5-star day yesterday. Then we're going to talk about, we could have another 5-star day again today. So giant hail again today, this afternoon. Really excited to talk to you about these first two. But then here's what we're all here for this afternoon. It's the 2024 hail forecast as well. So what does the rest of this year look like for the United States and the amount of severe weather that we're going to have? So we're going to dive into all three of these points here and really break them down for you and help you understand what it looks like for this year across the U.S. So yesterday afternoon, man, the storms fired up late in the afternoon, and it got busy, and it got busy in a hurry. Look at all the severe weather, the hail reports that we had, some big-time storms fired just to the west and south of St. Louis, and just missed the St. Louis metro. We had a few other hailers that formed up here in Illinois, and that trend continued with big-time storms firing up across Kansas. We even had a handful of tornadoes. Some pretty good tornado videos out there if you search on Twitter. I think you guys might enjoy some of those. But look at the hail back here in Manhattan, Kansas. And then here's the big storm that we had yesterday. Massive hail across Kansas City. Some of it as large as 4-inch. That's softball size hail across parts of the Kansas City metro. And man, did it ever really get going across the metro. So here's a look at the highlights from yesterday. So our 5-star event here, we're going to switch it back up. Look at it here. Here's the map. Look at the purple back here near Bonner Springs. Storm fired up. Really, it took it about 30 minutes, 45 minutes to really anchor down and really start to do its work. But once it did, it didn't take very long. Made very large hail and then tracked right across the Kansas City. We had several other storms that also popped up. Some stuff off here to the east. But look at the key side of this here. 4-inch hail, 254,000 homes impacted with 1-inch hail or larger. So this was a big time event. Again, first 5-star event of the year. These tend to happen right around St. Patrick's Day, so that tends to be when it happens. But there it is right there. Look at that map. Now, future radar this afternoon. We talked about it. This year is going to be crazy. Look at these storms that fire up here. So our future radar brought to you by Atlas today, and check it out. Look at these cells. Now, these have already fired up, and we're going to take a look at these live. So Tulsa, yeah, that's close. So here's Seminole. You got Shawnee, Oklahoma, just to the east of Oklahoma City. I don't see anything right there, but these are massive hailstorms, potentials for tornadoes as well, so you really got to watch this area. Look how it expands as we go through the afternoon. So as we get to 5 p.m., we've got storms trying to fire near Dallas. Yeah, that's right, Dallas. We're in the threat area. Fayetteville, Arkansas, Springfield, Missouri. We're going to jump up here to St. Louis in just a second and take a look. And then more thunderstorms trying to fire back here to the west on the dry line, back towards the west side of Dallas. So look at this as it just continues. So as we get to 7:30 in the afternoon or this evening, we still have severe weather across southern Oklahoma, Fort Smith. Now we're starting to talk about Little Rock, Arkansas getting in the firing zone here. Got to watch that. But notice, for the most part, the Dallas metro, it's going to be close, okay? So the storms kind of fire, and they stop firing really close to the I-30 corridor there, the I-20 corridor, somewhere right in that balance. That's going to be the zone that we're going to have to watch. How far south do they get? That's going to be the key factor. We'll dive into that a little bit more. As the cold front overtakes the dry line, though, severe thunderstorms fire up in Dallas. We'll get some hail with this. How big will the hail be along the cold front? That's what we're going to have to figure out. But it's going to be big time. Now, as we jump up to the north and east, look at St. Louis. More big storms just to the south of St. Louis. But I'm more concerned about the storms that are going to fire after this. So as we get past 3 o'clock, look at these. These are supercell thunderstorms that fire and move really close to the St. Louis metro. We've got additional storms firing on the warm front here. These are going to fire across southern Illinois. Indianapolis, look at you. Look at these cells going up right here. Big hail threat is possible in the Indianapolis area, and this could extend all the way up into northwest Ohio. So we're talking about a very, very large area that has a big-time threat for hail today, tornadoes, high winds. It's all there as we go through the 5:30. You can see these storms continue to move through. Not as concerned with this stuff up here to the north at this point. So by midnight, we should see more of a wind event break out across parts of Kentucky, southern Indiana, southern Illinois still in it. Southeast Missouri is also in that. More of a wind threat by this point as we kind of line out the storms, and that threat of isolated storms with the bigger hail, the bigger, stronger updrafts really starts to kind of dwindle. So let's take a look at our significant hail model here, brought to you by Merlin Law Group. Here's what we're talking about right here. So as we see it, again, look, everybody in the orange, you've got a chance for big hail. Okay, if you're in the red, you've got an even bigger chance for big hail. So that's why we're kind of honed in from right around Indianapolis, back through St. Louis, back through Springfield, Tulsa, just so close in Tulsa, right on the line in Tulsa, and then back down to the south as we get into southern Oklahoma. You've got Ardmore. We've got this big warm sector in East Texas, Central Texas as well. But the capping inversion is really, really strong across this part of the state. So we have to watch this area to see if the cap can break. If it can break, that's when we're talking about big storms in Dallas, but we're going to have to see how it goes. And yeah, Dustin, we're going to talk about San Antonio here in a minute as well. So as we go through the afternoon, you see the little holes? That is because of the storm activity. So we're going to see lots of rain happening here, which is going to cool the atmosphere off and shrink the size of hail. But look, Northwest Arkansas, you're still fired up. St. Louis, you're still fired up. Dallas, those storms move off to the east, and as that cold front comes in, it taps into this big hail index back here, which means we still could have big hail even as they move off. And really, look how everything up here kind of stabilizes. We lose our heat instability. Our threat for large hail dwindles up to the north, but look back down to the south and west. Texas, you're still in it, and that's why we're watching for tomorrow. So as we go into our max hail size forecast for today, man, we're talking about it, softball size hail. It's as big. We pinged the meter. It doesn't go any higher today. It's going to be big time. So our max hail size, again, brought to you by the American Contractor Show, it's maxed out today. Softball size hail. You might need to be walking on some roofs like John here if you're in parts of the firing zone. So where are we talking about? Who has the biggest threat? Look how big this area is today. This is such a large area here. So we've got our hatched area. Our hatched area is the area that we think has the highest likelihood of having large hail, okay? So if you're in the purple area, we think, yeah, if storms form, it could be softball size, 2.5 or larger, right? But if you're in this black area and you're in the purple area, you have the best chance at seeing it. Does that make sense? Hopefully that honed in for you guys. So let's break it down for you here as we go down to the south. So Dallas, Fort Worth right here. So we've got you high, okay? But we're more moderate as we get off to the east in Shreveport. Little Rock, we're moderate as we bounce up here. But Fayetteville, Springfield, all high. Tulsa, moderate, because those storms are going to fire right on top of Tulsa, okay? So will they make the large hail, or will it be just to the east? Are we talking about Catoosa? It could be. We'll see where it goes. Springfield, St. Louis, hatched up. Indianapolis, a little bit lower threat, but if storms happen, golf balls are bigger. Definitely a possibility in the Indianapolis area and Columbus even. Look at that, Columbus, Cincinnati, low chances, but it's there. We've got to watch those areas because those storms could get big and nasty. So as we break down each city, later on this afternoon, storm timeline for Dallas, 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. So storms are firing. If you look up to the north in Dallas, you see them. They're up there. They're big. They're mean. They're ugly. But they're off to the north of you. It's going to be a little bit later, 5 p.m. when they fire up. Giant size hail. Max hail size in Dallas, 3. Doesn't mean you're going to get 3. The chance of quarter size hail in Dallas, it's high. The chance of larger than golf ball size hail is moderate. Okay, so we're not locked in, but if we get big storms and they stay isolated, we could see up to 3-inch hail in Dallas. Again, really good chance of seeing some quarters, a decent chance of seeing golf ball size or larger, but not the highest chance that we have across the country. As we bounce up to the north in Tulsa, a little bit earlier, okay? So Coming up here in about the next half hour to hour, we're going to see storms fire up in the Tulsa area, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. If they form far enough west, giant hail, 3-inch hail is possible. Moderate chance of 1-inch hail, low chance of golf ball size hail. Why the difference? Why the moderate and the low? Well, that's because the storms are going to fire, again, right on top of Tulsa. So how fast can they make hail? If they make hail really fast, it could get big. It could get to the 3-inch size, but it's possible that it'll be just to the east of town, which is why we like Fayetteville a little bit higher with those likelihoods of big hail. So St. Louis, though, same thing. Look at all these cities, these big cities with big chances of large hail. 3-inch hail in St. Louis, that's possible. A high chance and a moderate chance at bigger hail. So the chance is a little bit higher, and we're going to watch these storms fire up between 3 and 9 p.m. So we've got a few hours in St. Louis, get everything ready, geared up, and then we're going to be watching them all evening long across St. Louis. And then as we head to the east, we've got Indianapolis a little bit later, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. The window of time is a little bit shorter, but max hail size golf balls, moderate chance at quarters, so we could see some quarters up there. It's a moderate chance and a low chance that we do get the golf ball. So again, that threat just a little bit lower in Indianapolis. Some of that is some of that heat and instability, some of that wind shear a little bit better out to the west. So that's why we like that area a little bit more. Some other cities that we didn't mention though, Fayetteville, Arkansas, yeah, you're high to extreme. We're locked in, Fayetteville, Arkansas. Really like the chances of seeing big hail there. You got to watch it up there. Little Rock, Arkansas, a little bit lower, a little further east into the south, but still high chances. Springfield, Missouri. Springfield and Fayetteville, I think, maybe have the highest chance of seeing significant hail today of everywhere in the country. Then as we head back to the south and east, Cleveland, you're low. There could be some hail. Might be some sleet-sized hail, but there could be some hail up in the Cleveland area. Jackson, Mississippi, low to moderate, and Shreveport, Louisiana, you're in that low to moderate area as well. Some other cities that I would say maybe in the extreme, maybe think about Fort Smith, Arkansas as well. You're definitely in a zone where I would put you in that high to extreme category as well. So again, try to cover as much as we can here. Hopefully we get it all in there. Today's tornado threat, yeah, we've got a tornado threat just north of Dallas, so maybe to Denton, but I expect mainly north of there. We've got a moderate threat though. There's some pretty good storms right now. We're going to take a look at those in just a second. Back here to the south of Oklahoma City, and then a low threat up in St. Louis. The big wind shear area, though, definitely over Arkansas and eastern Oklahoma. That's the area that we're watching the most. Now, tomorrow, we're going to briefly touch on this here. Yeah, tomorrow's got a big hail threat again, possibly over tennis ball size hail. It's like they drew this up just for San Antonio and Austin. We'll see what happens tomorrow, but the threat is there. Right now, we're going to go moderate in San Antonio and Austin. We're going to go low in Houston, low in Alexandria. But tomorrow, when we get there, we're going to take a look at this and see exactly what it looks like. So we'll hone this forecast in tomorrow. Make sure that you tune in tomorrow at noon to get the latest on what's going to be happening in San Antonio and Austin, because the chance is there, and we're definitely going to have to be watching those storms, watching them very closely. So here's a look at our live radar right now. So we switch it over here. You can see we've got this tornado watch that has been issued. It's got Denton County just out of it, okay? So Denton County, you are not included in the tornado watch, just to the north and west. And again, that's mainly because storms are going to be later in Dallas, okay? So now as we come up here to the north, we've got a handful of warnings and storms. You can see them now starting to fire up here by Tulsa. Look at the little showers that are starting to pop up here. We've even got us a little hail icon right here. That means we've got a storm. And again, we talked about Tulsa. The trouble is, where will the storms form? Well, this one's forming right over Bigsby right now. So 100% probability of hail, maximum hail size only 0.6. Moving to the northeast at 35, so that's going to take it right out up towards Inola as we go through the next 30 minutes or so. And again, not a huge impact yet. Storms just going up. These would be the ones that we'll be more concerned with. Can these little showers back here on the turnpike, on I-44 right here on the turnpike, can these go up fast enough as they move into Tulsa to produce hail? We'll have to watch it. So as we dive down to the south, these are severe. These storms have been more active, and they are going a little bit more strong than the storms up here to the north by Tulsa. We'll see if we can flip the radar over so we can see it from either Wichita Falls or Oklahoma City, one of the two here, so we can kind of get, there we go, a little bit lower scan now so we can see the bottom of these storms a little bit better. Check this. This is the storm that has my attention right here. We've currently got it. Notice how the warning, this is your warning right here. Notice how it's got these hatched lines on it. That's because this one has a potential for significant hail, okay? So the warning has been issued for golf ball size hail, 70-mile-per-hour winds. Not a lot of people in this area. Storm just moved to the east of Waurika. This is a quarter-size hail report here, where we had quarter-size hail reported, but the main core actually went just to the north of this location. So again, I think there's bigger hail in this storm, and it's going to move off to the north and east up towards Davis and Sulphur, but mainly stay in southeast Oklahoma, which is a lower populated area, so not as many folks in there. But these storms are rotating. We've got 2 of them right here that are rotating, and a couple more now going up. This one just going severe to the east of Wichita Falls. This one will head up towards Davis and Sulphur as well, and then potentially this tail end Charlie right here may move up towards the Ardmore area. So we'll have to watch Ardmore, Oklahoma, fairly decent sized population. For those of you not from this area, there's a handful, 25 to 30,000 people that live in the Ardmore area. We'll be watching that area again as well. This tornado watch, again, for 3-inch hail, moderate risk for tornadoes as well. It's a big time watch, a lot of people impacted, 455,000 people in this, includes Ardmore, Moore, Norman, although I think storms are going to be to the south and east of those locations, but Shawnee, you're definitely in this, and Tulsa is the big one in this tornado watch. And so we're going to watch this till 6 p.m. More watches will be issued later as we go through the afternoon across Arkansas. Again, probably another watch for eastern Oklahoma, and there'll be a watch, most likely a severe thunderstorm watch down by Texas more later this afternoon, say around 4 or 5 o'clock. That's when we'll be watching for that threat across that part of the country. So as we go ahead and bounce forward here, taking a look, now it's time for the hail forecast. So what do we got? Well, last year, I don't know if any of you guys remember, we're already kind of diving into this year, but last year, second most active storm season in U.S. history. How about that? It was crazy last year. Follows only behind 2011. So there was a lot of storm activity last year. 38,000 reports, over 38,000 reports of severe weather across the U.S. And last year is going to rank #1 for insurance claims related to severe weather. So we're eliminating hurricanes. Hurricanes tend to produce a lot of insurance claims. We're going to eliminate that from the list. Last year is going to be #1 for hail, tornadoes, and high wind activity. So lots of activity from last year for those events. Now, check this out. This has to be a record. 10 $1 billion events, one of them over $2 billion for the Denver Metro. We had some big-time severe weather across the U.S. and some big-time locations that were impacted by it. So a couple of other things to kind of delve into here. Costliest event last year was in Denver. It was the May 9th through 10th events. Reached over $2 billion. How many of you guys worked the Denver hailstorms from last year? Boy, those were just some crazy, crazy storms that we had. Texas, though, they were the hail magnet last year. Look at this, 9/24, so September 24th, May 19th, June 11th, June 12th, through the 13th, all billion-dollar events in the state of Texas. Man, insurance rates are going to be rising in Texas with all those claims. And then Florida was the overachiever. We think of Florida, we think of hurricanes, but not last year. They had, believe it or not, they had a billion-dollar event in Florida on April 25th through the 27th. 3-inch hail all 3 of those days. Man, is that Florida? No, not usually, but last year it overachieved, and it was definitely the one that went crazy. So as we jump in, what was the damage? The damage brought to you by the C3 group today. Over 22 million homes were impacted last year. Wow, 22 million homes impacted with at least quarter-size hail. 3.56 million roofs will need to be replaced from last year's severe weather. And check this out. Here's the number. Most of you may be a little surprised by this number, but 1.39 million roofs still need to be done from last year. There is a lot of work out there, and a lot of things need to be done, and a lot of folks need to be taken care of after the severe weather from last year. So, man, was it a busy, busy year. So, here it is. How many of you guys are waiting for the 2024 hail forecast? That's what we're jumping into now. So what does it look like? Well, the first thing that we have to do is we have to understand and break down what are the weather patterns around the world. And specifically for our weather here in the United States, we want to focus in not so much on what's happening here, but right here. We want to take a look at what's happening in the Pacific Ocean, because this massive body of water affects all of our weather. All of our jet stream energy comes from Asia, across the Pacific Ocean and into the U.S. So it impacts our weather in more ways than we could ever even know. And so we have to really dive into what's going on. So what I want to draw your attention to is a couple of different things, okay? So first of all, our El Nino, La Nina, we've heard of those. That happens right here. So right from the South American coast all the way to about halfway across the Pacific Ocean, warmer than average water temperatures. This is what we're looking at. So if it's orange or yellow, it's above average. If it's blue, it's below average, okay? So right now, you can see we've got this warmer than average water temperature. So that means we're in an El Nino right now. However, look at this. See these little slivers of blue here? That means the temperatures have been dropping, okay? And so we're seeing this switch. So here's a look at what we see though right now. So we've got two areas that we're watching. So it's this El Nino, La Nina. Then we're going to look at the Pacific Decadal Oscillation. That's right up here. This blue area right here kind of forms this horseshoe-like shape. And this also impacts our severe weather across the U.S. here. And so we really have to watch these two areas. So because we're below average here, we're a negative PDO. Those tend to be really active in the U.S. And then the other thing that we see is again, the warm water is going away. We're seeing the blue start to pop up in here, which means we're transitioning. And not only are we transitioning, but we are rapidly transitioning from an El Nino into a La Nina. Wow, what does that mean? Let's break it down, all right? So El Nino explained. This is what we're in right now, and this is what we're going to be in for spring as that transition happens. But so typically we have these trade winds that push the warm water over here. You have your average water temperature here. If it's a La Nina, it's actually below average over here. But in certain years, those trade winds change. They blow back this way. The water temperature actually increases water level heights, believe it or not, across the Pacific Ocean. And so that's what we get when we get an El Nino. And what that means for the U.S., and if you paid attention to the weather too much, that's what you're seeing right now. You're seeing dry weather here. We've had a ton of rain in the south, specifically, like think about California, all the rain that they've had in California, Arizona, the snowstorms, all that, and then above average temperatures up across the north. That's what we see when we have an El Nino. But that's not typically all that we're looking for. So what we want to look for is the PDO phase combined with the El Nino or La Nina. They don't alone control the severe weather. So what we look at is, do we have a violent transition? And what did we just talk about? We talked about how we're switching very quickly, right? We were in a strong El Nino, and we're going to be in a La Nina by the time we get to the end of spring or the first part of summer. We are transitioning very, very quickly. And what we found is that it connects. Like the dots connect, it equals big time severe weather. So the active weather that we had in February, that we're having to start March, there's a connection to all of this going on right now. So what does it mean where you're at across parts of the country? So let's break it down here. Here it is, outbreak chances. So what is an outbreak? Well, an outbreak is a big time severe weather, hail, tornadoes. Today, we're in outbreak potential right now, right, across the United States. So what does it mean exactly? Well, here's what it means. When we stay, ENSO stands for El Nino. When we stay in an El Nino just like this, okay, when it's just flat lines, this is the area that we focus on for the severe weather. So we're talking about outbreak potential being in Louisiana, Mississippi, and in Florida, believe it or not. Florida, yeah. That's the area that we watch. But remember, we're transitioning rapidly from an El Nino to a La Nina. This is what we're seeing. So we're in a El Nino, and we're swinging things down into that La Nina as we go quickly. What does that mean for the U.S.? Well, look at all the reds. Man, the Midwest, Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, outbreak potential is through the roof when this happens. So this is what we're seeing, an early terminating El Nino, May. That's when we think it's going to terminate. We're in March right now, so we're in an El Nino. We're switching to that. When we see that, that's when we see this big time severe weather chances that happen. So let's break it down. Let's get the forecast in here, all right? So 2024 El forecast. Here's our below average. This area has at least average. Okay, look how much of the U.S. is going to be average. It's almost the whole U.S. Now, as we break down above average, check this out. Look how big. We're talking Dallas, Oklahoma City, St. Louis, Chicago, Minneapolis, Milwaukee, Des Moines, Omaha, Kansas City. Well, Kansas City, you just got rocked, right? All of you above average. Denver, what does it mean for you? It means we think it's going to be average. Denver, you're the second busiest hail city in the U.S. Average is okay. I think you guys are going to be all right. We're going to break that down just a minute too for you. Most active though, here's our red zone. And the areas that we think will be the craziest, so early in the year, the southeast, this is where we think it's going to be the craziest. And then really all year long, this is where we think the most active zone will be. So that's Chicago, that's Minneapolis, that's Des Moines, that's Omaha, that's Lincoln, Sioux Falls, all that area. We think it's just going to be crazy, 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 going all the time. And it's been that way this storm season so far. So this year, above average looks likely across the U.S. Average is about 7,000 reports, and we think we're going to be well over that, 7,100 to 7,700, potentially even higher than that. And we're going to try to break that down for you. So as we go through the forecast, when does it start? Well, in this zone, we're there. It's go time. We're already started very early for up here in Chicago to be in the zone right now, right? Typically, we're talking April or May when we're that far north. But this year is going to be an anomaly. This year, it's going to start early, and it's going to go all year long. As we get to the end of March, we'll start to see some of these storm systems progress to the east. So we're going to start talking about South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee. This area is going to start to see some severe weather as we get into late March. As we get into April, we're going to bring Omaha, we're going to bring Nebraska, we're going to bring Iowa, we're going to bring Wisconsin and Michigan into the fold. Again, these areas all above average. We're going to start to see it up there. And then as we head into May, we bring in the rest of the Rockies, the Front Range, the Northern Plains, and then we're going to have the Northeast as well, getting their severe weather as we go through the late afternoon there. Now, let's keep breaking this down because there's a lot of data that we've gone through. And we have a lot of confidence on this forecast. So there's a look at the whole nation. What does the forecast confidence look like? Well below average, low chance. Okay, so not a crazy high chance. As we go through below average, though, what we're going to see is it gets a little higher, but it's still very low. Okay, average chances, moderate to high. Above average chances are high. Well above average chances, moderate to high. And then record breaking, we think it's a slim chance, but we could make a run at it. I wouldn't bet my paycheck on it, but there's a chance there that we could make a run at that. But for the most part, I want to draw your attention to what's below this line. Look how much of the opportunity, our confidence, is that we will be below that line. Average to above average for the U.S., we think we're about as close to locking that in as possible, right? So really, really big time chance that we will see that. So some of our bold predictions, there will be another $2 billion event this year. The last one was in Colorado in the month of June. I love this one. My meteorologists don't love this one as much. 75 consecutive days of hail. Expect that to start sometime in late April or the first part of March. Not March, May. Expect that to start then and run all the way through the month of June, potentially going into the month of July, or definitely going into the month of July. Man, that's going to be a busy stretch of weather. Some of the bold cities, well, check this out. So we did this forecast a month ago. We've got one checked off the list. Kansas City, you're done. You've happened. Nashville, we think you've got a pretty good shot at getting something. Houston, we like your chances. Throwing a wild card out there. How about Columbus, Ohio? Let's see if we can get that one to happen. That would be interesting. One more thing, though. This is my favorite graphic. All right, so what is your maximum star level? 1 stars. Okay, so we've got a handful of them. If you're in any of those states, you may not be super excited. 2-star maps. Hey, we're going to do something in California, Arizona, 2-star levels. How about the 3 stars? Where at? Check this out. New Mexico, Wyoming, South Dakota. Have you seen your state yet? If you haven't seen your state yet, then look out. There it is. Here's our 4 stars. So we've got Nebraska, Omaha, Lincoln. That's good news for you guys if you're looking for a hailstorm up there. If you're not, that's bad news. Kansas. Yeah, well, I guess we kind of did a 5-star in Kansas. So maybe that one's a little low. Arkansas, we're going with a 4-star. Wisconsin, a 4-star. How about that? That's unusual. Indiana and Ohio, also unusual for those 4-star locations. And check out all the 5-star states. You could kind of blend St. Louis or Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, right? It's kind of there. But Denver, we think you're going to get one. Oklahoma City, Dallas, this whole area. That's all of our 5-star locations that we have. So there's a look at the forecast for today. There's a look at the forecast for this year. You got questions? Do you want to know something from us that maybe we didn't mention today? Well, follow us on all these different platforms that we have. You can contact us. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Special shout out to all of our sponsors. But if you see us on one of these, send us a message. We'll get back to you. We'll try to follow up. I know we get a lot of posts, but if you've got a question, reach out to us. We'd love to chat with you a little bit more about the weather. We love the weather. It's what we do. And again, just want to thank you guys for tuning in, and make sure to watch tomorrow. Again, San Antonio, Austin. That's our fire zone for tomorrow. You're going to want to watch tomorrow. Take care.